One of the biggest challenges in modern data is making sure that it's clean when you want it. In a lot of cases, especially in the kind of work that we do in our agency, we need to clean a lot of data. In other words, when some of our clients want to run effective marketing campaigns, they need to make sure that the data that they store in their SmartSuite instance has got the right first name, like their clients have got the right first names, their phone numbers are correct, their emails are correct. And over the years, we've tried a bunch of methods, but now with AI being here, this is a very easy process. If you haven't done so already, do subscribe to the channel now. Don't forget to ring that bell icon, for when we upload a new video, thou shalt be notified. If you're new here, my name is Alex, and today we're gonna take a look at how to clean up our SmartSuite data using AI. Let's get stuck in. All right, so first and foremost, let's take a look at how this works. I have a very simple structure here. I have a table of clients where I have like a generic name. I have links to my opt-ins, basically some opt-ins that user may have submitted. Really, this is kind of like coming from a perspective of maybe you're using something like ClickFunnels or some kind of a form where you're asking for people's basic data because you want to give them like an ebook or something like that in exchange. So it's like generic data. And a lot of the time, clients do tend to provide fake data. So that's not really good. And yeah, let's take a look at how the whole system performs. I have my opt-ins, I have my trigger, I have my result. In other words, AI is going to be pushing data into this cell and explaining why it has chosen certain options. Then we have the full name of that client, first name, last name. Then we have the email and then the phone. Let's do this. So I'm gonna trigger the process by clicking the check mark, and then shortly after a few seconds, you'll see how the system will basically print the results. There we go. Let's take a look at the result. First name, okay. Twice in the data set, all right. Vishnevsky, all right. Email alex@test.com seems like a placeholder. So even when like between two test emails, it's still making a choice. Yeah, more realistic. And again, it's choosing this phone number because it appears twice in the data set. Fair play. All right. In our typical fashion, let's go ahead and take a look at how the database is designed. And right after that, we're going to take a look at the automation that runs in the background. Shameless plug, if you want to get your hands on the template for the make automation that I've just mentioned, there's a link down in the description below where you can get it over on Gumroad. Let's take a look. Okay, so the database design is actually fairly straightforward. There's really not much going on in this example. We have our name, which is just a basic text. We have a link to opt-ins where we can see opt-in 1, 2, and 3 that we have. We have our trigger, which is just a yes or no field, and that's that. Then we have a long text for the AI clean up result. We have a first name field where you can see first name, last name. One thing that I really like about SmartSuite is that in comparison to Airtable, which I think SmartSuite is really an improved clone of, well, improved in some areas. In some other areas, it's not that great. But one thing that I do like is that they're forcing you to input data in a structured way. So just because you have a name, that doesn't mean that it's like a text field with a hat. You have to actually put first name, last name, and it works in that sense. And also in terms of the database behind the scenes, API wise, it's structured in a very specific way. Then we have email, again, slightly different to a normal text field, and phone number, very different to any other field because that is an array behind the scenes. If you're not sure what that means, ignore me. But behind the scenes, this is structured differently. Then we have a formula field. We're bringing in the record ID. And all I'm really doing here is just printing the record ID function. That's that in terms of the client table. Let's take a look at opt-ins. Title, just the basic title, opt-in 1, 2, 3. Again, one thing that I don't particularly enjoy about SmartSuite is that I can't change this to something that is formulated just like I can in Airtable. This makes it really annoying because every single time data comes in here, I will have to, or anybody, unless it's like auto-generated, but you have to pay attention to how this leftmost field looks and behaves. While with Airtable, I could just make this a concatenation of, the first name and the fact that it's an opt-in. So yeah, not ideal. Anyway, title, just a basic text. First name, just a basic text. Last name, text. Email, text. Phone, text. Link to the clients, so just a link to the client table. And client record ID, that's just a lookup from the client table. Again, just helps us with a more accurate search down in the automation side. So that's it in terms of the database. Let's take a look at the automation. All right, so the automation is actually quite straightforward, really different to the equivalent Airtable automation. If you have been paying attention to the channel, you know that we deal with a lot of Airtable stuff, but from some perspectives, I like this more, and from some other ones, I like the way that this works less. So I really like the fact that we're just dealing with a basic trigger, right? Just a basic webhook that you can just add from here and it will talk to your account. That, though, creates an extra little change of pace as compared to Airtable because you have to include a filter over here where, in my case, you want to make sure that AI cleanup is always true because the end of this scenario turns it off. If you don't add this filter here, you're going to be stuck in an endless loop because the way that this automation essentially works, and almost the only way, I guess, that we can get this to trigger is only by watching updated records, which is good, but you're really running the risk of the system constantly updating itself. You can't even dictate which field to watch for an update. So as soon as there is an update of any sort, it will trigger. Therefore, you have to be very careful as to how this works by including filters. But generally speaking, the process is quite straightforward. As soon as it triggers and it passes the filter, we're getting our client. The next step is to search. I mean, in this case, we have opt-ins, but you could also have other tables, other data silos. It doesn't even have to be within SmartSuite. It could be in some other spreadsheet or in some other system. And you just basically search those opt-ins for that specific client. You compile the data and you can, over here in this particular area, in between ChatGPT and this compiler, you can actually put other stuff. Like I was saying, you can compile more data in order to give it to ChatGPT for it to basically process. As I said, ChatGPT basically takes that bundle of data that you give it. I think the more the merrier, but in our case, we're just giving it opt-ins, and using a well-crafted prompt that I've done, it pulls that data out that you need, first name, last name, email, phone. Then we are able then to process that response. In this case, I'm also saying that the content should exist because you don't really want it to proceed any further unless you have a response. Over here, we're basically creating an array of the phones that we get from ChatGPT, and finally, we're updating the record with the data that we found. You may have noticed that I'm also providing an explanation as to why, right? So why did you choose Alex? Why did you choose Vishnevsky? Why did you choose this email? Why did you choose this phone? So all of that is part of that prompt. And that's basically it for this particular SmartSuite automation. Let me know in the comments below if you want me to continue doing SmartSuite stuff. I think it's an interesting up-and-coming Airtable clone. There are very interesting things about it that I really like. There's some things that I'll have to get used to, but definitely an interesting competitor. So yeah, that's it from me for today. I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.